Welcome everybody to Swish for Real. Uh, I've got the producer in the house, Big Mike. How you living, Big Mike?
Yo, what's up, Boogie? Hey, man. Thanks for having me on, man. It's a pleasure, man. Thanks for the t-shirt, man. I got it not too long ago. So you guys are awesome. You guys rock.
Well, we're glad to have you, and we got just a couple topics tonight, but we got a lot of. Thank you for letting me host tonight. Uh, Before we get started, I want to say prayers go out to our our friend Paul Miranda, the Real Talk Basketball. I'm praying for you and your family and your wife
Yes,
that you
sir. Get well soon. Get well
get well
soon, man.
soon. We miss you, and I got the old logo, you know, shirt on tonight.
Oh, yeah.
So there's
Represent, represent.
this this is the old logo. Behind me is the new logo. There's been a lot of changes going on in the last 2 weeks with the Mavericks. And just a day or two ago, uh, a clean sweep. They let Jason Kidd, the coach, with a 205 and 205 record, the only Mavs coach to take them to two Western Conference Finals and one NBA Finals.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on them letting the GM, and the new president of basketball operations letting Jason Kidd go?
Well, according to Shams, it's had a lot to do with what went on with Luka Doncic being traded to the Lakers. Uh, they're saying, and I can't be for sure. I have no sources on this, but I might have to shout out my boy Scoop B to see if he can give me some more direct information. But they were saying that Jason Kidd had a little bit to do with the moving of Luka. He kind of okayed it, so now that that's coming out and it's in the light of day, that may be a course of action for the new Mesri. I can't pronounce his last name, but the guy from that we got from Toronto.
Masai.
Masai, yeah, Masai, yeah. I get it. He wants to clean from top to bottom and get everything out of there and start anew and trying to get that bad mojo that's been hovering around the organization since they got rid of Luca the last couple. It's been 2 years now, so it's kind of a gloomy day, but at the same time, there's sunshine with Cooper Flag. But with Jason Kidd moving on, I get it. He really wanted to be the president or the GM, but that didn't happen because the new ownership was really not going to let that be a possibility for Jason. So that's why they made the hire that they did for the president. And now they got the new GM, and he's going to come in and he's going to just make a lot of moves, though. So I'm not quite sure how Mike Schmitz is going to really work with the Mavs. You know what I mean? Um, he could be some really good possibilities, but the moving on with Jason Kidd is crazy though. So I don't know who they're gonna replace him with. There's a lot of great coaches out there that could fill those voids, man. Billy Donovan, Jamal Mosley, Michael Malone's free. There's a lot of good coaches out there, man. Sweeney, I believe, he was with the Houston, not Houston, but he was with the
He's
San
with the Spurs.
First, and Chris Quinn, Miami Heat's associate head coach, and a former Mavs, Sam Cassell. There's a lot of good coaches that could replace Jason Kidd, but it's kind of hard to replace such a Hall of Famer who had such a great career here in Dallas, got us to the 2011 championship, got us to the 2024 finals, Western Conference Finals twice as a coach here with the Mavs, and he helped develop the likes of Cooper Flag and also Antetokounmpo. You know what I mean? Even though we don't have him on our roster, we love to have him, but Kidd is not a guy that you could just say he's not a good coach because he, in his words, he know what the he's doing. You know what I mean? So, I mean, the changes had to come in. So I'm not quite sure how far we're going to go without. It's going to be a long road for sure, but how far we can go without a coach like Kidd, who they're going to replace him with, I'm not quite sure.
So, for those that haven't listened the last couple weeks, 2 weeks ago, the Mavs appointed and hired a new president, basketball operations, alternate governor, Masai Ujiri, who took the Toronto Raptors to the NBA championship and former scout for Denver and Toronto head of scouting. He appointed GM Mike Schmitz out of Portland. And typically in the NBA, when you hire a GM, they like to pick their own coach. They don't typically keep their own coach. So if you remember last week, I talked about if a cook had a spoiled item in the kitchen, the easiest way to clean house is to get rid of all the ingredients. So, there's a couple names you mentioned. Sean Sweeney, who was the defensive guru behind their NBA Finals defense. Bud Holtz is out there. Thibodeau's out there. But a name that kept coming up today is John Shire from Duke. So you would add the Duke connection and the Cooper flag. And what came out early this morning, late this afternoon, is that Jason Kidd had this reputation in Dallas of getting along with the players, but it's starting to leak out that he had disagreements with the front office and he was power hungry, and that same discord happened in Milwaukee when they let him go, and it happened in Brooklyn. He was known as a player, he's known as a coach's killer. So he may be boring to listen to in a post conference, and but he definitely always wants to be in charge. And him not getting the president of basketball operations, do you think that had anything to do with the fact that they let him go?
That's part of the fact. I mean, along what I just said earlier with them moving on from Luca, and now it's it's starting to shed a little light on what he had, his involvement. But I agree, it does have it's 50-50, you know what I mean? The fact that he didn't get that position, and also the fact that he had a little bit of the dealings per se, I'm not quite sure, of Luca being moved out of here to LA. And another name that's out there that could be possible is Tiago Splitter. I mean, he's a great coach, and he's not bad what he did with Portland. He got them to the playoffs this year. Now, if Portland don't sign him as a head coach, then I would definitely look at me moving him into that position, because he could, like what they were saying about Masawi, rather. He likes to get coaches that are least experienced and give them the opportunity to shine. And same thing with Mike Sweeney. Maybe he'll feel the same way. Get both of them agree on a good coach, and I'm thinking Tiago Splitter would definitely be a great coach, because he just led Portland to the playoffs. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, Tiago Splitter comes off the Popovich coaching tree.
True.
Which I texted you the Popovich coaching tree, so the San Antonio influence, and yeah, you're right. He usually goes with a young coach that's up and coming, that may or may not be known. He chose Nick Nurse, but two coaches one who coached for Ujiri. Two of them are out there that coached on the 2011 championship team. Terry Stotts, who played at the University of Oklahoma.
And isn't he a former Mavericks coach, assistant coach?
He's a former Mavericks coach, assistant coach, and Dwayne Casey, who's been the head coach a couple places. So I want to, I've got some follow-up questions along this line.
Sure.
So just give me a thumbs up or down if you want to comment, that's fine. But these are just some of the key categories I wrote down about Jason Kidd. So player development, thumbs up or thumbs down?
He knows what he's doing. I mean, because as you can see what he did with the staff that he had, he brought Luka a little bit further than people anticipated. You know what I mean? And Bronson, he can develop. I like what he did. I think people don't give him a lot of credit for how much he's put into these players. And you said it from your own words that he's a player's coach. You know what I mean? And he's going to make sure the players are in a position to win. So yeah, I'm a thumbs up on him being a coach that can develop players.
Defensive schemes, because Kidd was known as a defensive coach before Sweeney joined the staff. So defensive schemes, thumbs up or thumbs down?
I say still thumbs up on that one because he preaches defense. Because without defense, I don't think they would have got as far as they did in 2024 to go into the championship. Only thing that fell them was their offense, and I think that may be your next question. But defensive minded point guard led the 2011 Mavs to a championship. So he's always pretty good in defense, but he just, it didn't work for this season because he didn't have the right personnel, or he didn't have enough time to really develop everybody he wanted to develop. And plus, he didn't have a true point guard to really push the narrative. He put Cooper Flag at the point guard position, which was something that he did with Giannis to make Giannis feel the pressure of being a point guard in that body type, in that position, as far as power forward goes. But defensive minded, yes, I think he's a perfect fit for any team that wants a defensive minded head coach. He's going to bring that.
So 2011, he was the guy that guarded Kobe Bryant. He was the guy that guarded Kevin Durant. And in the finals, he took turns guarding LeBron James as a 37-year-old point guard.
37. Yeah, that was crazy.
So, okay, the next one, thumbs up or down. Adaptability.
Adaptability, I would say thumbs down because he doesn't adapt quickly enough, especially in some in-game thing. Like when we're in a game, you have to really, I mean, and I'm writing about this now. Rick Carlisle was one of those coaches that knew, and that's my favorite all-time coach, and I'm just going to put that out there because I really like Rick Carlisle, and I'm patting a lot of things that I did as a coach behind Rick Carlisle. But Jason Kidd adapting on the fly, I think he was too. I don't want to say arrogant, but I think he was too prideful to make adjustments when it needed to be adjusted in certain situations. And I think if you'd adapted, if he had adaptability in the 24 championship game, the finals, I think we probably would have had a better chance. I mean, the one that we won at home in game 3, I believe, it was a great game, but still, it was game 4. Still, I think he could, especially game 1. We had that game 1. We could have won that game, but he just didn't want to make changes.
Okay, thumbs up, thumbs down on flexibility.
Flexible player wise, yeah, I'm a thumbs up that because he does let the players play. He does let the players be who they are, and he wants to see them grow, regardless if he's really pushing them hard, which he always does. He's real flexible when it comes to when it comes to players in general. And I think with him being who he is, as far as a former point guard and a team leader, he knows what it means to be, hey, I got to be flexible. I got to put people in the right position to succeed. And I think flexibility is one of his great strong suits.
Okay, next one, thumbs up or thumbs down. Timeout usage.
Thumbs down, thumbs down. Because again, I look at Rick Carlisle when it comes to that kind of situation. Rick Carlisle knew when to call timeout, kind of like even Popovich. Popovich called a timeout. I remember one game he called a timeout 2 minutes into the game. I mean, like, look, y'all not hearing what I'm saying. What we said in practice, we're not doing right now at the top of the game. Jason Kidd's not like that. He's going to let the players play through it. And that goes back to the question of flexibility. He's not flexible enough to call the timeout when necessary. I mean, he's not a bad manager of timeouts, but I think sometimes he just lets the players play it through, and sometimes you just can't let the players play it through. You got to call timeout, regroup them, and don't wait until you're down 10, 15 points before you call timeouts. You call timeouts when you see something that you don't think the players can play through. Hey, timeout. Let's talk about it before the game get out of hand, and then we can get back in there and make this a winnable game. But yeah, I agree. I thumbs down on him being able to really
Yeah,
manage his times out.
a lot of times Carlisle would use it to break the momentum when
True.
a team gets hot. Break them up because that you got to go over and stand at the bench for 2-3 minutes. You don't get no practice shots. So yeah, it's a chance to break the momentum, get the crowd, try to get the crowd back in it. Okay, next one, thumbs up. Inbounds play from the sidelines.
Kid, thumbs down, because I've never seen an inbounds play that he really made uh successful. You know what I mean? When it was crunch time, I don't remember any inbounds plays that I could be like, man, if he didn't write that up, I don't think would have made that score. I don't think would have won the game. I don't think would have succeeded. I've never seen an inbound play that he made me remember and be like, oh yeah, he knows how to do that. So thumbs down on that, because I don't remember him writing putting together any good inbounds play. He has regular inbounds plays, and that's a lot of coaches in the league, but something spectacular. I mean, you want to think of spectacular. One coach come to mind is Spoltra. Spoltra always has some great inbounds plays. So for whatever reason, he does that. And going back to Rick Carlisle always has some really good inbounds play. And who our coach is retired, Phil Jackson. Phil Jackson inbounds play crazy, especially when he coached Kobe. So a lot of those things that they did during those times were really good. But Jason Kidd, on the other hand, I've never seen one that I really noticed or made me remember it.
And the reason I brought up inbounds play was it was so predictable that if the other team wanted to cheat, it was always repetitive, same play, throw it to the guy close to half court. And if you had a guy with long reach or quick feet, get a jump on it. I remember too many times over the last 2 or 3 seasons where they gave up uh, a fast break dunk to the other team. And, when you're in a close game, you're giving up on an inbounds play, you're giving up 2 points instead of getting a shot at the rim. Now, sometimes that's the difference in the game.
Yeah.
There was a lot of turnovers. Uh, guarding, thumbs up, thumbs down.
Repeat that.
The guarding the other teams last 2, 3, 4 seconds of a game play when it has to come in from beyond half court.
Well, on the flip side, when it comes to drawing up plays, Kid generally, when it comes to defense, he draws up pretty good plans. I give him a thumbs up on that one, because guarding, a lot of times you're not gonna get what you're looking for, and I've seen a lot of games where he made the team go into overtime, just based off of how he guarded him. He's really good when it comes to defensive schemes on the other side of the ball for the Mavs. I have to give him a thumbs up, because I've never seen a play where they just kind of was wide open, maybe once or twice in the years that we were here. But for the most part, he is really good when it comes to having each player in the right position to guard the basket, to make sure that there's nothing scored when it's just seconds on the clock. Very few times that there's been an opportunity for teams to make a score with the Jason Kidd drawing up the plays defensively to make sure that the game is either won or it doesn't go into overtime or go into overtime, basically.
Yeah. He didn't give up the easy bucket, but I can remember 5 specific instances with less than 5 seconds to go in the quarter or the half of the game.
Okay.
And they let the player throw it in and heave a half court shot. And these players, a lot of the players, and when they're fooling around in practice, they're making half court shots. So right before halftime, they threw it into Max. No, it might have been the fourth quarter, but they threw it into Max Strus, who hit a 65
I
foot,
remember that.
and that won the game for them.
But that's far and few between, though. You don't have a lot of those that's doing that.
It happened 5 times in the last 2 years where the other team had more than 40 feet away from the bucket. But they didn't have a person guarding that. There was nobody even running at them. They just had a free reign, hoist a 40-footer or further out. So the last thumbs up or down. Designing ball movement in the offense.
Again, Jason Kidd is not an offensive-minded coach. The ball movement is kind of like he is an ISO coach for whatever reason. I'm not a fan of it. You know me, like my coaching background, whether it be from AAU to even semi-pro men's league, I always like the ball to move. And Jason Kidd, he's an ISO coach. I mean, and I get it because you had a kid like Luca that can get you a bucket and he'll run some plays every now and again. But at the end of the day, it's always ISO with Jason Kidd as far as how he lets his players play. Because if you look at Brandon Williams, that kid is an ISO Kyrie in the making. Kyrie ISO guy, you know what I mean? And I think having players like that is cool, but at the end of the day, you're going to have to run a half court offense that's going to make sure that everybody's in tune, kind of like what Denver does with Jokic. Jokic is a very good passer, but they run offense, and the same thing with San Antonio. When in an offensive set, even freaking Boston offensive set is awesome, man. They move the ball. Everybody touches the ball, and if you're not moving the ball and touching the ball, and you got ISO, it's easy to pin down that one player or two, because now you have, if you have a dream team like the Miami Heat has, it's kind of hard to do that. But the Mavs only have really two players in the 2024 season with Kyrie and Luca that were able to ISO and play off of each other. But when you don't have that, you don't have too much of an ISO, and you got a rookie in Cooper Flag, that's not going to be a good decision as far as how he doesn't allow the players to move the ball, and there's no body movement, there's no ball movement, it's stagnant because one player is dominating the ball. That what used to kill me when I watched Luka sometimes. He was a phenomenal offensive player, but you taking 15 seconds off the clock with you really dribbling the ball, and that's too much, you know what I mean? Then now you're in desperation trying to get the ball to the open man, and that's not going to work for most parts. Most times in the game, you can't do that. So I think his the way he's got it designed offensively, it's just too much ISO ball, in my opinion.
So Stephen A. Smith had had a stat. I don't have the exact numbers, but with Coach Kidd and Luca, when Luca played, they won 66% of their games. When Luca didn't play, they only won 33% of their games. So that kind of tells you a little bit about player and coach.
Yeah.
So with Ujiri getting rid of Jason Kidd, does that increase the chances of Luca coming back?
In my opinion, do I want Luca back? I'm 50-50 right now. Reason why I'm saying that is because, like, when you come back to a team and just look at what LeBron did when he went back to Cleveland, even though he won a championship, but it took him a few years to get there. But I don't see if the reasoning behind bringing Luca back. I think Luca is fine with the Lakers, but I wouldn't bring him back. I don't think that would be a wise decision to bring Luca back. It may make the fans feel better, but you're not really giving Cooper Flag the opportunities that he would need to build this franchise and put it on his back like Luca did. Even though he's not an offensive wizard like Luca, he did drop 51 points in his rookie game, which me and you had an opportunity to see live. But I don't know if bringing Luca back would make a difference as far as defense goes. I mean, you still have your defensive stoppers in Gafford, Lively, and now Cooper Flag. But yeah, I would say no. I wouldn't. I love Lucas. I love what he did for the Mavs, but I think the fact that he's been traded and he feels, in my opinion, he feels slighted. You know what I mean? Like, why would you do that to me? I mean, he loves the Mavs. He thought he was gonna be here for life. But at the end of the day, I feel like he should just basically stay where he's at and finish his career as a Laker. But if the last few years of his career, maybe he come back for a farewell tour as a man. But I don't see him coming back, and I think he should just stay with 1 to 2 teams, and I think the Lakers are probably a good fit for him.
So speaking of the 51-point game that you and I witnessed from Cooper Flag, do you remember me saying that after halftime, how many possessions they had where it was more than one pass?
Oh yeah, we counted it. It was crazy. They didn't pass the ball a lot.
Yeah, there was only like 2 or 3 possessions where there was more than one pass. They dribbled up the court and took a shot, dribbled up the
Yep.
court, took a shot. Well, speaking of players and who will fit with Cooper Flag and all, the new GM Mike Schmitz has quite a bit of work cut out for him. So I got quite a few follow-up questions, but you put on your GM cap for a minute and pretend you're Mike Schmitz. What does he need to do uh, as the GM to push this franchise that doesn't control its own pick until 2031? They got the Lakers pick in 29, but in between, so for 5 years they don't control their own pick.
Well, one, they're gonna have to figure out the roster for sure. I mean, who are you keeping? Who are you gonna keep? Yeah, you got quite a few really serviceable centers, Lively and Gafford being the two that are right now. I know they're gonna keep Lively for sure, but Gafford, I think they're gonna move him, and they're gonna keep that other kid that they just been playing really well. Can't remember his name off the top, but
Mousse Cisse.
Musa Cisse, yeah, he's not bad at all, and that's another decision they have to make. And then also point guard position, you got Brandon Williams, and you have the kid that's brother who plays for the Indiana.
Ryan Nebhart.
Nimhart, thank you. My brain is not working for some reason. Nimhart and Williams, you got to choose who you want, and then you still got Kyrie. And the rumor is that they're going to go ahead and move Kyrie somewhere else. But what do you get from Kyrie? Do we get more picks to it? And that'll be perfect in my opinion. But I hate to lose Kyrie because I think he has not really had the opportunity to really play with AD, play with Cooper Flag. What do you do? And you're going to have somebody to fill that void to circumvent the offense because they're not going to have no one but Cooper Flag on the offensive side of the ball. So as a GM, Mike Schmidt, I think he's going to have to figure out how he's going to retool this roster, how he's going to make things work, and who he's going to put on the trading block to make this team better. And that's number one. Number two, and I think that's probably maybe well, we'll put that as number two.
So
Number
before
one,
you move on to number 2, 3 different sources today on Facebook. Some of them clickbait, some of them just speculation. But where there's rumor, there's fire. There's been speculation on ESPN, but the latest I saw today was Minnesota is willing to offer 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and
for Kyrie.
a player for Kyrie.
Yeah, and that's because Anthony Davis is pushing to get him, and he's been really pushing the front office to find ways to get Kyrie in there. Because who wouldn't want that? Because the way they did them last year, I mean, well, in 2024, that was crazy. You can't stop that guy. That guy is amazing. So yeah, I again, I don't want to see Kyrie go. I think he has been welcomed with open arms here in Dallas. I ain't never been against him. I always liked what he did. I always felt like he was a godsend for us with Luca and those two guys playing together. That's crazy. You know what I mean? And then Lively was playing on the defensive end, and with Gafford, they played their positions, man. And you don't get that a lot when it comes to the NBA. 2 players that are that offensively talented, and one that is teaching the other, as far as Kyrie showing Luka how to be a great guard and play the position. But yeah, I wouldn't.
And
I would.
Kyrie's already stated he wants to stay here with or without Kid. He said that Dallas felt like it was home to him.
Yeah, yeah. I'm telling you, they opened their arms to Kyrie, man. They showed him love, and he felt that love, and he's able to do what he needs to do in his personal life, and that's not affecting him on the basketball court here. Big markets like New York and New Jersey, they were in Boston, basically just was really crucifying the kid for just being who he is. Just his personal life has nothing to do with his basketball life. That's two different things. If you guys are equating the two, then you need to get some help. Go, you know what I mean? Yeah. But at the end of the day, man, I feel like, yeah, I would definitely not trade Kyrie. But again, I'm not the GM. There's still that's gonna be a thing that they need to do. That's the number two.
We
Uh,
need the alley oop back. We need
yeah.
the Smash Brothers back. And adding Cooper Flag with Kyrie throwing him a lob.
That's gonna be crazy because he's a great guard, man, and it takes a lot of pressure off of him. You know what I mean? Because you got a kid that's coming up. He's gonna be in the second season. He's gonna be a great scorer. Brandon Williams is gonna come off the bench, and Nimhart saying, "Who, whatever you do, you're still gonna have a great roster." But I'm pretty sure they got to get rid of either Nimhart or Brian Williams because Brandon Williams rather because you can't have three guards, probably four, and if you really look at the roster, but three guards, one of them got to go. You're gonna have to get something from Brandon Williams, in my opinion. I like him. I think he'll be better served somewhere else as a starting point guard because the way he played this year, I think he deserved a shot at starting somewhere. Nimhart, he's more of a solid guard to me. And Brandon Williams is more of as a shoot first guard. You know what I mean? He's going to get it to the bucket. He's going to give you everything you got. But you have all that in Kyrie. But then you have to understand the future. What does the future look like when Kyrie is retired or when Kyrie wants to be moved on? And then you already moved on from Brandon Williams. So it's a tough decision for Mike Sweeney. But yeah, that's number two. They have to figure out how to retool that roster. The second, the first thing they need to do as far as Mike Sweeney goes is hiring a head coach, and we talked about that earlier. There's so many coaches out there that could be a great fit, and like with Masai, Masai rather probably wants to get another fresh coach in there, and I think, in my opinion, I would love to see Tiago Splitter get the job because all the other coaches they had their opportunities, you know what I mean, to do what they do. And Tiago, this is his first season, really half season, because he got in there when Chauncey Billups had his issues earlier in the year, if you guys remember, because he got investigated by the FBI. But I think Tiago Splitter, in my opinion, will be a good fit as far as a Mavs coach. So that's what the first thing they need to do besides retooling the roster. And once they get that done, as far as getting that head coach in Tiago Splitter, then I think we'll be good to go as far as the coaching position goes. And then the coach Tiago can bring in whoever he likes or keep who's already on the staff and continue to move on. And the third thing and the last thing, as far as what Mr. Sweeney needs to do, is draft well. Now we're sitting at the 9th spot and the 30th spot overall. Now, who they can get in those particular spots, I'm pretty sure they're looking for a shooting guard. What do we do with PJ? I love PJ. PJ is a great guy, but he's never been consistent. And we talked about this a couple of podcasts before. He's not consistent. Now, is he playing down to teams? Maybe, I don't know, but when he played against Oklahoma, it's like a vendetta with him. For whatever reason, he doesn't like Oklahoma. He's the mayor, basically the surrogate mayor of Oklahoma whenever he plays that team. But I'm not quite sure what they're going to get in the draft, because the draft is going to be one of those situations where, what do you get? You got to look at your roster now. Who are you going to probably move with? Caleb Martin is probably going to be moved. That position going to be open. Who do they get? I mean, you got the 9th pick and the 30th pick overall for this coming up draft. Mike Sweeney has a job on his hand trying to figure that out. Now, if they get the coach prior to that, then that'll be an opportunity for the draft room, the war room, if you will, figure out which player fits best and how that roster is going to look. Now, if they draft certain players, like I said, in the shooting guard position, then you got to figure out who's going to be moved off the roster if you bring in the shooting guard. But then you have the 30 pick, what you do with your 30 pick. So it's an interesting conundrum for Mike Sweeney to figure out what
Schmidt.
he's going to do. Mike Smith. I keep saying Mike Schmidt. Thank you. They have to figure out. He has to figure out what he's going to do as far as the draft goes.
So, Kobe went at 16. Tyrese Maxey went at 23. Donovan Mitchell went in the teens, like around 16, 17, 18. So there are good players there. So I have some other questions for you as far as what Mike Schmitz can do as GM. Do you think he can acquire draft picks? And what I mean by that, can he trade players like Klay Thompson and PJ and acquire future first round picks?
Now, I can say with Klay Thompson is ready to move on. And I think with him being as he really showed up this year, in my opinion. He played better than he did in his first year with the Mavs. He really showed that he still got something in the tank. He wasn't consistent every game, but he'll get you 30 on a given night and sometimes 40, but he's going to be a year older. Now, if they'll get any draft picks for him, yeah, of course. First round, late first round, possibly. But who will they draft him to? And in my opinion, like we were saying earlier, with Kyrie going to Minnesota, I think.
But future first round picks, because they're going to have a 5-year void in future first round picks.
Yeah, but if I mean, I get what you're saying, because if they do get picks, then that goes to the teams that are already they owe. So I would say with
It's
Klay Thompson,
draft picks are assets. And
yeah.
so would you rather have the player as an asset? Would you rather have the financial flexibility and picks that you can always trade later?
Financial flexibility for sure. And plus with that financial flexibility, you can always get somebody on the trading block, whoever's trading that's going to be a great piece. Like when they got Gafford and when they got PJ, those two were an awesome pick for what we needed for that time frame when they played those
Yeah,
those
and
2 years in the beginning.
Klay Thompson is not on the same timeline as Cooper Flag.
Nah, Klay is on the twilight of his career, and I think him being here, he doesn't really want to come off the bench, but I think he's starting to feel like that's the best solution for him at this juncture in his career. Where he would go, I don't know, but I would definitely use what I can on my roster now to either trade for better players or trade for picks.
Okay, so you mentioned drafting is one of the things. What should Mike Schmidt's draft target be? Best player available or position of need?
As you can't go wrong with the best player available. And I mean, like, if you get the best player available, then you still have options to move around on your roster players and still get more picks later on, like we just mentioned. But I agree, best player available will probably be the best bet for the GM. And if you get the best player available, then again you can move around players that you already have on a roster trade and get even more better picks later on in the future, and probably get some trade bait and make sure that you fill the roster back up to where it fits Cooper Flag where he is now in his second year.
So for y'all that don't know, Swish for real, the number 4 comes from Chris Webber, Big Mike's favorite player. There happens to be a center from Michigan coming out this year. if there's a couple point guards available and the center from Michigan falls to number 9 and you're Mike Schmitz, do you take a center even though you already had Gafford and Lively, or do you take a point guard?
Well, you have Musa Cisse again too, so you have 3 centers that are really good, and you already seen the tape on them as far as how they play in the NBA. I wouldn't pick up a center. I would find out which point guard at that specific spot is the best available, but then it's hard because you already got guards. Why would you want another point guard? Why would you want another center? So it's a hard choice for him. The best player available, if that's a center, then yeah, I get it. I would still probably get the best player available, but it'll be tough to make that choice because you already got really good centers on your roster as we speak.
And then 2 toughest positions historically to fill have been center and point guard. So that moves me to the next question. Will the Mavericks try to move up? They moved up. They traded a first round pick to move up from 5 to 3 to take Luka. So there's 2 teams out there that also have 3 picks in this year's draft.
Mhm.
The Nets have 3 picks and the Clippers have 3 picks. If you're Mike Schmitz, so the Nets had the 6th pick, the Clippers had the 5th pick, but their next 2 picks are early and late second round. So the Mavs could trade them pick 30 along with their pick 9 and their other second round pick. Would you, as Mike Schmitz, would you move up, trade your 3 picks for either the Nets 3 picks or the Clippers 3 picks so that you get up in the fifth or 6th spot and get one of those quote unquote second tier point guards?
Well, Darius Ofkoff Jr., the guard from Arkansas, he's probably in my opinion, the best guard in this draft. Now, if they get him, if they move up, that's a good question. Who would they get? Like that was your question. If they could move up, would that be a good pick? Yeah, in my opinion, because that's the best available player. But I wouldn't move up, to be honest, because again, I want to look at my roster, what I have right now. And if I wanted to move some players, who would I move? And you're definitely gonna move some players for sure. You know what I mean? You have a bunch of players that you can move, and what do you do with those open spots? That means that you have an opportunity to really bring in somebody fresh and new, like we talked about, and probably fill those positions as we go through the draft. Yeah, and also we can also look at what the Mavs have currently on the draft on the force the roster go, because I think with what we have, it's not bad. We have, like we said, the centers position is really pretty much solid. The point guard position is pretty much solid. And what I mean, you got
If you bring Bagley back, you got a guy who can back up center and back up power
right.
forward.
So you got guards like Max Christie, you got AJ Johnson, Nimhart, Brandon Williams, and then Caleb as a forward, Kyrie as a guard, and then you got Chris Middleton as a forward. You got a lot of people that you can move off the roster for sure. You know what I mean? I don't know what these guys are going to be in draft capital, and then like John Kaladis, I can't pronounce his last name. My apologies, brother. But John Polakidis, that he came on at the end of the season. So you have another guard, huh?
A gunner.
Right. So he's gonna. That's why I'm saying with Klay Thompson, it'll be an opportunity for them to really bring fresh new bodies in the building, fresh new looks. I don't know what Mike Schmitz is going to do. He might be related to you, but I think.
Speaking on that, then, thumbs up or thumbs down, trade or not trade. We already talked about Klay. Would you trade PJ or not trade PJ?
I'd trade him. I mean, I give him another opportunity to find a team that really, really need him because we're in a rebuild mode. If you want to stay, because I know he's a math homer, I respect that. I like PJ, but in this in this stage of his career, I would definitely want to go somewhere where you have an opportunity to really help a roster get to at least the playoffs and get to hopefully whatever conference finals. You know what I mean? I think PJ is worth that. You know what I mean? I would definitely move him and see where he
He
fits best. But if you don't want to move, if you want to stay, it all depends on the coach and the GM. But
he has
I
a
would
very tradable contract.
yeah, I think
And
he's a good player for any team that really needs somebody in that
yeah,
position.
Denver could use a player like PJ.
Yeah, and he's still close to Texas, so he can always come home when he wants to.
Okay, trade or not trade, Daniel Gafford.
Uh, I love Daniel Gafford, man, especially when he played with Luca. I, again, at this juncture in his career, he deserves to find a team that he can probably get a championship with. And it's not going to be Dallas unless something miraculous happened and Dallas becomes one of those phenomenal teams out of the blue with Thiago Splitter coaching them and they get to the Western Conference Finals. But as far as where he's at in his career, I would definitely probably trade him and get him somewhere where he can get an opportunity to get uh, back in the playoffs and possibly a ring.
Well, you see the value of Hartenstein with Oklahoma City. The
Hmm.
year the year the Mavericks went to the finals, all they had was Chet Holmgren. You added Hartenstein, who was kind of the equivalent of Gafford, somebody that can move a body, block some shots, going to score. Uh, Trade, not trade, or stretch. Caleb Martin. He has
Trade,
4 years on his contract.
trade. I mean, because Caleb again, he he didn't really get an opportunity here. He didn't play a lot of games until the very last few weeks of the season. He showed that he has flashes of being a great defensive player, but I mean, serviceable wise, I think I would trade him to a team that really needs somebody who can come off the bench and play some really good defense and maybe give you a bucket or two here and there. But yeah, I would no disrespect to Caleb Martin, but I would trade him to somewhere where he could probably get more playing time.
Yeah, my feeling is he had one career year in Miami and he's rode that all the way to the bank. Okay. With Polikitis that you were talking about, would you trade or not trade Max Christie?
Max, he digressed big time. I don't know what happened, man. It's just Max was not Max of the first year that he came. He played very well alongside of AD, and when AD went down, he still played well. But his second year with the Mavs was not even something that we can talk about. He's really didn't prove himself to be a starting small forward or even a shooting guard because he didn't have the opportunity to well they gave him the opportunity but he didn't take advantage of the opportunity that they gave him regarding his ability to really solidify that position. Not saying he's a bad player, he's an NBA player, he's in the NBA for a reason, but I don't think he will be able to make the Mavs a better team, in my opinion. I think I would possibly trade him to somewhere where he can flourish or even continue to grow because I don't think he's going to really. It all depends on, and
You could see
yeah,
his limitations.
yeah,
And
and
with Pulikitis, being able to shoot, he offers you the same thing Christie does.
yeah, and they started Christie for a lot, quite a few games, and it didn't really. He didn't. He didn't fill the roster spot for me. You know what I mean?
Okay. Just a few more. If you had to pick between these two players to keep on your roster, would you keep Dwight Powell or Muse Cisse?
The White Powell's a fan favorite. He's been here for what 7 years, 10 years. Wow, I'm my bad, pal. that's a hard one, bro. Musa Cisse gives you more energy off the bench. Powell knows where to be, when to be. Musa Cisse don't know where to be, when to be. And sometimes, he just still trying to figure this NBA thing out. And Powell has already figured it out. And he's been with the Mavs for a long time now. Would I keep him? Man, that's tough, man. He's a glue guy, and you need those on your roster. And then it goes back to the draft. Who do you pick? If you get a center in the draft, then yeah, I move Musa Cisse because he got tape on him, and you can say, yeah, we want to keep our glue guy because I'm gonna say keep Powell because it all depends.
And he's cheap. He is
Huh?
on a cheap contract.
Yeah, and he's a glue guy. He's there to help. He's there to make you better. He knows where he is in his career. He's not gonna damage the team in no way, fashion. He's always there. You know what I mean? He's
He's a
dependable.
good statesman for the team.
I would have to move on from Musa Cisse to keep Dwight Powell. And I'm just saying that because Dwight again is a glue guy and he makes the Mavs what it is. And kind of like what Popeye Jones did back in the day. You know what I mean? I hated to see him leave, but he was a glue guy. He was that guy, and he was a starter though. So it's hard to say, but I would definitely keep Powell over Musa Cisse.
Okay. So you can only keep one of these two players that I'm about to name, and one of them's your favorite. You got to keep Ryan Nembhard or Brandon Williams when you got to let one of them go.
I'd have to let my favorite go. And the reason why, because what I said earlier, I think he'll be better served as a starting point guard. Well, I don't think he's a point guard. You know what I mean? He's more of a shoot first guard. A point guard is pass first, and you have that in Nembhard. Nembhard is going to pass that ball and make the offense work. Brandon Williams is going to take it to the hole every opportunity you get. He's going to try to shoot the midi. I think he reminds me of kind of like Jamal Crawford. You know what I mean? Jamal Crawford was that guy that you can bring him off the bench. You can probably drop 30 quick.
Crawford was a lot bigger. He's
Yeah, but
he's
I'm
more
saying
like Bones Highland to me.
I'm more so the skill set. I mean, him and Jamal Crawford has
Yeah.
the same skill set. You know what I'm saying? I think with that skill set, he's more of a Brandon Williams is a bench player to me because he's shoot first before anything as far as a guard go.
Yeah, Crawford, I think, had a better outside shot. But to me, he's like Speedy Claxton, played at Oklahoma City, or
Yeah.
Bones Highland that played for Denver. You know,
Yeah, I can't compare him to Bones Highlands. I think he's better than Bones Highland in my opinion. Bones is good, but Brandon Williams is way better offensively for sure.
and then the last of this under the GM, what Mike Schmitz can do. What free agents would you target?
um,
Would you give Austin Reeves 40 million a year to come to the Mavericks?
no, I would not even. I would not even entertain that at all. I mean, Austin Reeves is cool, but he doesn't give you any defensive prowess. I don't know where he would possibly free agent wise.
What about
Man,
Aaron Gordon with Denver?
oh man, I like Aaron Gordon, but it's hard to say that. Man, you put me in a quandary here. I like Aaron Gordon.
If you had to choose and the money was the same between Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr.
Aaron Gordon for sure. Because Aaron Gordon is going to play defense for sure. He's going to give you everything he got, and he's going to be not a burden to the team. Regards, he's going to help you build. He's going to be available for you, and I don't know who could be better than those two. Aaron Gordon would be the one, in my opinion. But yeah, I don't know. Nah, man. Jalen Duren is a restricted free agent right now. Walker Kessler for Utah. I mean, that's a center, but you got quite a few. And then do we sign Chris Middleton back? That's another question. I don't know. I mean, do we? do we go after Zach LaVine? You know what I mean? He has a player option right now with Sacramento, but it's a lot of players out there. I think in my
Overrated.
I think in my opinion, I would look at the draft and see what we can get. And there's not very many free agents out there unless you want to try to stick your hat into the LeBron free agency. You know, he's unrestricted. What do you do with that? James Harden's going to be, he has a player option for this up year, and Trae Young has a player option. There's quite a few players out there that has options of who do you really pick is the question. I don't know. I if I was Mike Schmidt, who would I go after? It depends on what we get in the draft. If we get a good draft and then we trade a couple players and get some more picks and we make it look like something, then those players can grow with Cooper Flag, grow with the team and make this team offensively sound and defensively a master juggernaut. You know what I mean? With Tiago Splitter, I'm telling y'all, man, Tiago Splitter at the helm, head coach wise, that team could be amazing. You know what I mean? I would kind of look what San Antonio did, look what OKC did in the draft. They got every player they could possibly need to make their teams better, and they did most of it through the draft. Even though they traded for SGA, at the end of the day, they still got a lot of players from the draft and built in. And same thing with San Antonio. Look what they did. They got De'Aaron Fox from as a free agent.
They got him cheap, but
yeah.
There's two similarities between what the Spurs and the Thunder did. They took on salary to get picks.
Yeah.
And if you cut Bagley and Middleton, you're going to have salary you can take on to get first round picks.
Yep.
So if you had to choose between a free agent or take on salary on a player that isn't really worth it, but you're going to get a first round, maybe a couple first round picks.
I take on salary all day long. And because the only thing about rookies and getting into the draft, you don't really have a clear understanding after the first three picks if they're gonna really pan out to be these great players, and really you can narrow it down to the first two. The first two are really decent, but after that, you're really throwing up a half-court shot trying to make sure that draft pick is going to be somebody that you can count on in future.
So, very few teams have kept 3 draft picks and they all hit. The Mavs have had a couple drafts where they've had 3 picks, but even if all 3 turn out to be serviceable and playable, that means there's 3 players on last year's roster that won't be on the coming roster. That's what those picks mean. So
yeah, that's true.
So do you have any other comments about what the GM can do other than picking your coach, Tiago Splitter?
The only other thing I could think of for Mike Schmitz, as far as you talking about the GM or the coach?
The GM. What else can he do? Because he's going to pick the coach.
Right. So I would lobby to keep, because it's still up in the air. They're trying to get a new stadium here in Dallas, but I don't know if the ownership is still trying to move this team to somewhere else. They haven't really said it. They said they're going to be here, but they said the same thing about Luka. He's going to be here. But I would, as a GM, I would lobby to keep the team here and just build a new stadium and make it something that's going to be memorable in regards to the Mavs being a homestay and just having that fortitude to stick to your guns as a GM and be like, look, this is what we're gonna do. And I don't know, Masawi definitely picked a good GM. I just hope that he does what he needs to do to make sure the team stays in Dallas and make sure that he sticks to his guns when it comes to making decisions on players and coaches.
Well, thanks for letting me host tonight. It's been a great show.
And thank you for letting me be a part of the the guest log.
Yeah, you finally get your 2 cents in. So tell the folks where they can find you, what social media platforms you're on.
Yeah. Thank you so much again. Thank you for having me. You can find me on Twitter, Mikhail Lampkin, poet.director. And also you can find me on X, Mikhail Lampkin, poet.director. And then you can also find me here on Swish for Real all day long in YouTube. If you want to see some of my films, we're still working on our upcoming film. We got hit a snag, but we're gonna finish it anyway. Again, YouTube. If you want to see my films, Mikhail Lampkin, poet.director. Anywhere on any of those social media platforms you can find us in, that's where I'll be.
And always you can find him on Swish for Real.
Swish for Real, baby. Yes, sir.
And you can find me at Boogie Bob. And as always, a pleasure. And we'll see you next time. Like, subscribe, comment.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you guys. Thank you again for having me on. And hey, we'll talk again soon. That's it.